Hey everybody, and welcome back to the live stream from the Sydney Summit. I'm Dr. Pete. I run a solution architecture team for Australia and New Zealand. I have Dean, who's my co-host.
Hello again.
And what do you do?
Oh, you want to know?
Yeah, I think it'd be a fun.
It's quite secret. No, I'm the head of solutions architecture for Hong Kong and Taiwan Amazon Web Services.
And
awesome,
in his spare time, he runs the new region in Hong Kong.
Yes,
right?
yeah. Shout out to my Hong Kong and Taiwan colleagues. We did it last week. We actually launched our 21st region, the Hong Kong region. 3 availability zones, has the services you need. So please look at deploying your applications there.
But we're not here to talk about us. We're here to talk about other people, and I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Jordan Nguyen, who's actually been one of our awesome keynote speakers. Dean and I did a bit of a recap this morning, but we figured it'd be even better if we actually brought the man in flesh. Welcome to the show.
You found me here, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so listen, you really pulled at the heartstrings for so many people in the keynote, people who are even streaming in, going, oh my God, how amazing are these stories? And you talked about the intersection of technology and humanity. Tell us the backstory, because those things you've been doing are so awesome and impressive.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing because I just go on all these adventures, and these adventures sort of, we find our friends, we find ways that technology can make a difference, and I'm always looking at that intersection between technology and humanity. And I think if we've got all these amazing tools out there, why not utilize them to help us achieve our dreams? And so the heartstring side, I think, we don't mean to pull on the heartstrings, but we just go on really emotional adventures.
It's reality. I mean, the backstory about it, you almost broke your neck. Tell us about that and how that set you up for the amazing career that you've actually built out. It's a pretty, not the mainstream kind of path most people would follow.
No, not at all. I think it was a bit of a freak accident years back when I was 20. I was in my 3rd year of university, and what happened was I was going through high school, sort of in the bottom half of my school. I managed to get into my course, which was electrical engineering, because I wanted to find out how AI and robotics might someday make a difference in the world and how we could potentially use them for good. But then in my 3rd year of uni, I was ready to drop out. I thought, I can't do this, I can't handle this. And then I went to a backyard pool party, a friend's birthday party, dived off we had a diving board. It wasn't the smartest thing to have.
Not the smart of choices, huh?
No, not the smartest of choices. I ended up diving off that board and going into the bottom of the pool. Didn't know which direction I was headed in until my head hit the bottom of the pool. And felt this massive crunch across the back of my neck. Now, this just started to change everything for me. I was very lucky at the time, but I found myself flat on my back, in bed, not able to move for about a day and a half. And when I got up and started moving again, I started thinking, how could technology possibly play a role? What would life have been like? So I started going out and meeting people. And what I found was when I met people, I just found that so inspiring. The fact that I was meeting people who were saying to me, of all levels of ability, were saying to me, if you set your mind to it, you can achieve it. And that's what started this journey, and that's why I share the same sort of stories now, which is if you set your mind to it, you can achieve it. So we went down this pathway of creating different technologies. Should I talk about those?
Yeah, fast forward to like the wheelchair, right?
Yeah. Before you get into that, so one of the things for me when I was watching your keynote this morning is, it's Innovation Day today, that's the theme. And you were talking about innovation, but you were tying it into the human experience and really how you're changing the lives of people. And one of the stories you spoke about is providing the ability for some of the disabled to be very mobile and using technologies for things like monitoring eye movements. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that? Because there's actually a few viewers who want to learn a bit more about that.
Cool. Yeah. So the first pathway was I was meeting people with high-level physical disability, from strokes to spinal cord injuries to spina bifida, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy. I was meeting people with different disabilities that had a high level of physical disability. What it meant was I was trying to find a way that I could actually harness the thoughts. And so when I came up with this idea, why don't I work on some of the things that my father has taught me? My father's a roboticist. I said, what if I was able to design a wheelchair that could be controlled by the mind? And I thought it was impossible, but brain-computer interfaces are a thing now, but this is, I started work on this in 2006. And I had to build a brain-computer interface which picks up on the little electrical signals of the brain, amplifies it, filters it. We would then send it into a computer which would run artificial intelligence, but we didn't have cloud services back then, so I had to build that from scratch. Neural networks and genetic algorithms, come up with my own stories, turn those into mathematics, turn them into programs, and the programs would learn to read the differences between brainwaves. Not reading your mind, just recognizing when you're using predefined thoughts.
So just enough to do controls of like a wheelchair or other things.
Yeah, just enough for real-time control over a wheelchair. So I got through that, trials with 20 people, and then what I started realizing later on is that the eyes have such a direct connection to the brain. So I wanted to start building technologies around that. We went into our first documentary, Becoming Superhuman, on the ABC, and this is where we went on a journey with my young mate Riley. He wanted to drive a car, and so we built this headband that picks up the electrical signals of his eyes, called electrooculography. It's used in sleep studies to measure the electrical signals of your eyes.
Stuff,
Exactly, you can tell REM from that. And so what happened was we developed the headband. The headband picks up on those signals, goes through an artificial intelligence layer to recognize what it's actually
classifying
happening.
the movements.
Classifying, just classification, basically that. And then in real time, then going through to control the motors on the vehicle. So he ended up driving this buggy with his eyes. It was awesome. And we just kept looking at how can we keep taking these technologies forward, and how can we keep making the most of these amazing technologies that keep getting released around the world, because just the pace is so fast now.
Yeah, and what was awesome to hear is when you were working with Riley, in terms of it didn't work the first time, right? He went through that trial and error process. I think you mentioned 25 crashes or something like that. But he literally, got up, did it again.
That's it.
And it was awesome to see him finish.
Pick himself up when he falls. It's like, that's what I love about it. It's, you learn so much through failure as well as through the successes. And when you have some sort of barrier in your way, you just keep pushing your way through if you believe in something strong enough. And that's what we found with Riley. He was so determined to make it from start to end in a single run.
Right. He was super pumped in that video.
Yeah, he was.
But listen, guys, for those of you who are watching, if you have any questions,
we actually do have a couple of questions.
For Jordan, fire away, Dean.
Yeah. So actually, going back to the technology, we have Robert Kruk, who asks, how do you make the eyes control the movement of the vehicle? It would be easy for someone to get distracted and look away. How does it lock in and not fling
Look
you
at the
off
shiny thing over there. Have a car crash.
Here's the funny thing. The first time he took off, the first time Riley took off, he looked at the things he didn't want to crash into and straight into it.
That's an interesting pattern, right?
Yeah.
Don't look where you don't want to go.
Don't look where you don't want to go. So that was what he did to begin with, and then he quickly started updating and looking where he wanted to go. This is basically an idea of false positives. How do we accidentally trigger the movements that we don't actually want to trigger? And for something like eye control, it can be very difficult, but we didn't want external equipment. We didn't want all this stuff in front of him. We wanted Riley to have a clear plain sight just from the headband. So we had to convert those eye movements. So he just had to learn to get better at controlling the technology, and that's the way we built it. We built it like a robot, like we would build an autonomous robot, but instead of having a CPU there, we had Riley to show the power of the human mind and our own brain to adapt.
That's awesome.
Great answer. What else have we got?
I've got another question also from actually Cool Cat. Sorry, not related to technology or Riley, but what's your necklace? It doesn't look like a community hero necklace.
I get asked this quite a lot. No, this is actually a good question. I get asked this quite a lot. So about a year and a half ago, running businesses it's hard. It's hard stuff. And throughout our lives, you go through these waves. You go through ups and downs. You have tough points in your life, and I let myself really feel those low points. So when things go wrong, I let myself feel it. I let my emotions out, and then I move on. I don't sort of bottle them up, otherwise I'll just never keep moving and getting things done. So a year and a half ago, I found that things were really getting difficult in my life. I just had so many things, all these challenges mounting up, and trying to take Psykinetic. My social business is called Psykinetic. Psyche and kinetic put together, putting the mind into action. So that's how we develop technologies for the disability and aged care sectors. And we had all these mounting challenges at the time. So I live near the water, so what I would do is I'd go walk down to the water where there was a patch of sand. I'd stand in the sand in the water and just sort of chill, because I'd feel myself getting a bit anxious and that energy rising. Then I started traveling a lot. So what I did was I took some of the sand, put it in this necklace, and it's just to remind myself to be calm.
So is that Sydney sand or
Sydney sand?
Sydney sand. There you go.
There you go. Just to remind myself to be calm.
There's another opportunity, by the way, here. It's like, oh, can we get you one?
Yeah. There you go.
Very
awesome.
So tell us a bit more about your company. So you talked about a marketplace in your keynote, about some of the cool things that you're doing. Especially some of the games and things that people could actually build or integrate into. That'd be a fascinating things for builders to look at.
Absolutely. So something that's really good for developers is we just looked into how connection, collaboration across the world, that's what's going to change the world. And so I started going, I don't want to keep building all these bespoke devices. And a lot of people, know someone with a disability,
Yeah, totally.
or know a way of building technology that might have a role to play. And what I started looking at was the fact that we're building all these bespoke technologies, all these very individual technologies, and I thought, how do we bring them together? So what we did was we built a platform that connects to things like brain-computer interfaces, like eye controllers, and so that allows all these different peripherals that other people create, all this hardware from around the world, to allow you to connect to a computer. We built that, and it's called Stargaze. Stargaze became a marketplace as well. It's a cloud-connected marketplace. So what it means is now we're actually, we've just finished our SDK, where we're putting it out there for developers.
So what's in the SDK? Is it like the brain sensor or the eye sensor?
Yeah, no, it's just basically for. We've currently got Unity development.
Unity for the game engines, yeah?
Yeah. So it's very much Unity integration at the moment. And what we're wanting is people to utilize the SDKs, which help you with eye tracking data.
Okay.
So there's different types of controls. I won't go into all of them, but you can buy an eye tracker which tracks where your eyes are looking at on the screen. It's like a new version of a mouse. It's used in gaming quite a lot at the moment.
Yes,
look at the Tobii eye trackers. So the Tobii eye trackers, we've got integration with those into Stargaze. So
Awesome.
if you come up with a game, an app, or communication device, whatever it might be, you can build the software, put it on our app store, and then we'll connect you to the customers around the world who have various disabilities who would love to utilize this sort of inclusive technology.
So this is like a marketplace for those who are building software
Absolutely.
and systems to help make people's lives better.
Absolutely, it's an inclusive marketplace to help collaboration around the world. People build hardware, people build software. We're just trying to bring them together and make it more inclusive for everyone.
And so, Dr. Jordan, what about encouraging a culture of innovation? So you spoke about working with some of, like some folks like Riley.
Yeah.
What about going into environments where there isn't that much culture of that innovation? You spoke about it this morning of, for example, in China, what they're doing. Can you maybe talk a little bit about what you've done there, and also some of the influential people that you've maybe worked with that can encourage that creativity and cultural innovation?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've gotten to learn. I mean, I look up to many people in the world, and I learn from the great minds of the world as well. So I've gotten to travel with Michio Kaku, with Steve Wozniak, and I even emceed for Barack Obama last year.
Awesome.
Now they were big things because I got to see how the great minds do what they do, and so what I wanted to do is to then start looking around the world to find out about the innovation mindset. Who is innovating around the world? So we did this documentary with Discovery Channel where I went all through China to see the technology and the entrepreneurship of China. And what I found was the technologies just started moving so quickly.
Yeah.
Now, China weren't known for innovation. It was basically a mindset shift. And this mindset shift is so important. When we recognize that if you come up with a dream, any big idea, and you take action on it, you problem solve as you go. So the big step is to take action. Everyone has ideas, but you've got to take action on it.
Cool.
And
what's
so
the documentary called, by the way, for
it's
those that
called-
want to actually find out more?
Yeah, it's called Smart China. It's
Smart China.
Yeah,
Okay, go grab
through
it.
Discovery Asia. And Smart China is a 3-part series. We saw some incredible stuff from automated electric drones to 3D printing of houses to genetics, genomics research, and artificial intelligence used in predicting what sort of predispositions you might have in the future. So yeah,
Great.
It's been pretty cool.
That's fantastic.
And so go to my website for more details at drjordannewen.com, and I've got all my website, all the different documentaries through that. But basically, when we dream big, when we come up with big ideas, you've just got to figure out how to take action on it. Just start, and then you figure it out along the way. But we can all make a difference in this
Awesome.
world.
So final question before you wrap it up. If I'm a 7-year-old kid sitting somewhere watching the live feed because they just flicked from watching Fortnite to watching us, what would you tell them? Take that idea. What would you like to see those guys do?
That's a great question.
Future leaders of tomorrow.
Find the things that inspire you. Basically, find the things that inspire you. I used to be a gamer. I used to just love playing games. And then when I realized that I could shift my skills towards learning to make games, making games allowed me to also then start making different technologies. And we'd come up with these crazy ideas that would be so cool to do, and to just take them on. We set the bar really high. When we think we've got the bar set high, we set it high and we go, let's be really ambitious. We bring people together, and it's kind of like now where we're sort of living the game worlds. We sort of bring the game world into the real world.
Right? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Awesome.
Sci-fi and reality have been coming together for many years, and I think that's the sort of cool thing to be looking at. So if you're a young person, you love gaming, you want to figure out what to do with your life, find what inspires you, and then take action on that.
And go after it. Awesome. Dr. Jordan, thank you for joining us.
worries.
Thank you for giving us an awesome, inspiring keynote as well.
Cheers for having me.
We really
Thank you
enjoyed
very
it.
much.
Guys, you're watching the live stream from the Sydney Summit. Stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly.
Thank you.